Hello and welcome to the 114th episode of Rambling Weekly. How you been? Sorry I missed last week. I was just kind of not in the mood, for lack of a better way to put it. I was just kind of, no, I don't want to do it. I kind of feel that way now, but that's because it's daylight savings. So we all lost an hour here in certain regions of the country. Yeah, hope you're doing well. What's been going on? So as for myself, you've been, I think I've done a month now of it, but I think, yeah, that sounds right. Been reading through on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., doing streams that last about an hour and a half or so kind of like a brunch reading of the book, which is nice because I'm also going through and making little marks for things I wish to clean up that either due to my impatience or just inability, what have you. There are things here and there that I'm like, I need to clean that up. So I think it's a lot easier for me to do that. I may do that for part two. Have like I don't know, because I've printed it off before when I made the edit, so I don't know. I'm kind of like, oh, this is unfortunate, but yeah, I'm gonna clean it up and then release a cleaner version. So, yeah, going through doing that, and then I'll do Sudraba at some point. So those have been nice. So it's just a reading. I'm not very good reading it, especially yesterday. For whatever reason, I was stumbling over stuff a lot. So that I've been working a bunch. I have I haven't had this happen to me in a long time, but I got a bug in my butt and re-downloaded the remastered Dark Souls 1, and I actually finished I played through and beat it for the first time last night. Like I had played up to a point, I think it had been close to a year, and I just kind of was like, okay. I had gotten further. I think that was the third or fourth time playing it. First couple times I was like, and then I got a little bit further. I was like, but I don't hate it. It's not bad. I mean, like, who's gonna sit there and like, oh, it's bad? I mean, there are certainly some clunky issues with it, but it has certainly grown on me. I'm going to bring up a comment because there's just some comments I had about it that I was talking with Slade about, and I was like, reinforces, I'm going to read it here, reinforces this playthrough does reinforce my ideas of how certain games just don't stick, and some become beloved. So there's no mini-map, and I think that's very important. I noticed that eons ago with I had noticed it with Star Ocean 3 to a little degree. I was like, it seems kind of weird having to pay attention to the mini-map, but it didn't like really, really start to codify in my brain to be like, oh yeah, this is why this is a big problem, until I think Celceta. I think East Celceta is where you were going around making the map. It's a cool concept. I like it, but you're focusing too much on that and not on the actual presentation so much, and it makes it, because you're dividing your attention like that, it becomes a bit ethereal, I think. And with something like Dark Souls, you're not given a map, so you are basically being forced to engage with it on that kind of level, and I think that has an appeal, and also it creates interest. I like that idea a lot. And there's also the distinctive locales. It does, I mean, it still looks pretty for a game that's now 14 years old, but I don't have the high bar of, like how games should look and stuff. I'll be okay with a little bit of Mega Man in the 8 bits, the bleeps and the bloops. Even the menu selection sounds like it's like ripped straight from the old Silent Hill games, which I kind of find funny. Because that's when I click through it, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like Silent Hill. And there's just a good ebb and flow of exploration, and also keeping your head on a swivel that forces you to engage. And I think that it was it was as much as like an answer to what had been coming up for years of like 10 years or so of just presentation, video, like, oh, here's cutscene. So you're taking more and more away from the player, and the agency of the player, and then eventually, outside of some little cutscenes here and there, it sort of gives it back to you a lot of the ways. And while that's there's a place for it, it's just kind of it's there are appeals for like fun. It's kind of similar to like playing tabletop stuff. Like if you have a group of people, you want to do your like session 0 and figure out who does what, or not who does what, but like what do people find fun? Are you more into just having it be like a battle simulator? Are you more into role play or more into adventure, puzzles? You got to figure that out, right? And so for some people that's going to be fun, and unfortunately seems to get the get good crowd, which is what it was, because we don't really have that so much now, outside of the backhandedness of Elden Ring, where people were complaining about it. So, but yeah, I beat that. I don't know about how much I'll play into like the new game plus of it or whatnot, but I like that it's just kind of a carryover, and it's almost like a cyclical kind of thing. It is neat and appreciated, because you go through all that and then all of a sudden, well, here, start again. That might sour some people's playthroughs. I think it helps just kind of make it that much more appealing to people, at least initially when it came out. Nowadays it's people play it on a dang DDR dance pad kind of thing. I mean, heck, they were able to do that like 10 years ago probably. I'm so far behind. But yeah, so it was nice. Anything else that I got going on? No. No. Writing's coming along a little bit. It slowed this past week. But I guess I mentioned the tabletop thing. Got back into that. It had been about a month. People had been sick. It's that time of year, and nothing too exciting to report on that front. We just had it was nice to have a little harvest festival thing, to do some just silly little mini games, plus give the players a chance to be a little bit more performative and stuff, and not just because I know there's at least a couple of them who really enjoyed doing the more role play thing, and some of them who seemed not as keen on it, or at least as interested in it. So you're trying to balance that and everything. So we just did a little fall harvest festival thing. and there was some silly moments. Even before that, like, I had told them about needing to play like instruments to open up this temple, and they, a la Zelda, but one person went to go buy it who had spent a bunch of money previous session for this vendor, so they're very excited and stuff, and they were like, oh yeah, I've got a couple things here, let me show you this drum, and to demonstrate how well the drum was, I rolled, and it was a nice failure, which it was a nice critical failure too, and he put his hand through it, which it was it was just some silly stuff like that. You gotta have those, and that's the other thing too, right? When playing the tabletop stuff, it felt like with 5e you were basically given a lot of different avenues to become super duper powerful, to where outside of some very incredibly poor rolls, you're just gonna kind of be able to competently get through stuff, unless like a DM or GM is like really trying their hardest to make it so, to make it troublesome, whether through ailments or just a bunch of monsters, or really, really strong monsters with lair actions and stuff, which is nice that this isn't like that, because it is much more pared down. So like the highest successful rolls you can have are 18, in the sense of like it'd be 90%. So there's still always a 10%, no, not a 10% chance, is it? Yeah, 10% chance, where you could still fail, as opposed to like, 3 out of 20. Well, no, that's still more. So maybe because there's just not as much advantage. I don't know. It just feels like that there's, and plus, you have to do a lot of those other things. So you can't just spec into everything and then just be good at everything. So even some of the more simpler stuff you can just fail at. I don't know. It feels like 5e really made it easier to avoid that. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't really played 5e that much, but it just always seemed like, oh yeah, you can muscle your way through without problem. And perhaps like super early 1 to 2 or 3, it feels a bit different. It is really, you are very squishy, and rate of failure is a lot higher, which that's the other thing, right? It is a bit, that's like Morrowind's a battle system. The rolls, for some that they don't like that. They don't like that, you hit something, but it rolls that you missed it, kind of thing. And so that can be pretty hard for people, I think. In that case, it's kind of like, well, just play a video game or something. But I understand it. I mean, Fire Emblem always kind of has that element of rolling, though. By the Game Boy Advance times, I don't know how long that continued for, but when the Game Boy Advance games came out, they had it was weirdly weighted, almost like a bell curve in a way. It's like the closer it got to 100%. I know this is going to sound stupid how I'm going to phrase this. The closer it got to 100%, the more guaranteed it was, but it became weighted guarantees, to where it's like, on the incredibly rare chance you might miss a 96, maybe, 90% chance, and then same thing on the back end. You know, if it's like a 10% chance, it's rarely going to hit ever. It isn't a legit 10% chance. So I thought that happened starting with the Game Boy Advance ones. Like that last genealogy playthrough I did, there were plenty of instances where I missed at a 92% going screaming at characters, "You need to lock it in!" Ah! Trying to shake them through the not quite, but so, but yeah, that is that. I don't think I really have much else that I want to add. I haven't really worked on a video or anything, unfortunately. Yeah, I need to kind of get focused on that, because we're also shifting to doing tentative like every week now for sessions. So I got to be on my best behavior and actually putting in work a little bit more than once a week or once every other week, to be like, okay, I've got some, because I've now had to create like 2 tracks to be like, okay, are they going to do this or are they going to do that? And it seems like they're going to go the one way, so it's like, okay, make sure that's filled, but kind of pepper in some ideas to this, so it's kind of still going. So the that. So I think it is time. It is time to get into that topic. Here's my delicious cashews. Sorry. Okay. Alright. I should have had this, but I didn't. Okay. So, topic. Hi. 17. Sorry. 17 minutes in. So yeah, for the topic today, we're going to talk about the mercenary mindset, because this is something that dawned on me. And maybe I've talked about it before, but it is something that I feel with what's going on in the States. But it's an idea that kind of struck me when I was talking with Graham earlier this week, or last week, about how like what it takes to like change a job in Japan versus in the States. And it's of course not always, broad brushstrokes, but how, you've got to go through a lot of effort to be like, I'm going to be leaving, I'm going to be leaving, I'm going to be leaving, I'm going to tell, I got to tell like 8 different people in this line of command I'm going to be leaving, why, and all that sort of stuff. Where in the States, it's like, I might not even tell you I'm leaving. Ninja vanish kind of thing. Especially nowadays. There was kind of the decorum of a 2-week. You need to give a 2-week notice, which in one hand is certainly considerate, but in the other hand, it's kind of like, like outside of doing something egregious, do you ever get like a 2-week notice that, hey, we are going to be firing you in 2 weeks? Which no, I don't. Could be wrong. I mean, there's always the looming acts of, if a company's on the verge of being sold or something like that, or like a chain store being shut down or something. But that mentality, it is like it turns into what's best for me and mine. So I think it exacerbates or maybe not, either exacerbates, enhances, goes hand in hand with the whole woefully overly independent attitude that we have. It is, there are certainly great points of it, but there's also a lot of detriments that I don't think we ever really consider. Or if we do consider it, we don't want to. We want to just try to like bull through as if, oh, yeah, well, we can just kind of solve it by doing this, and it's like that's not. I don't think that's gonna work. Like, I'm very much of the mindset that people need to be more communal, and I know that becomes very difficult to do in places like. It feels like it when it comes to like apartments and stuff like that. It becomes a bit more difficult to do. That, or just because of the internet and whatnot, you can glom onto your community that way and be like, okay, we're just going to do it this way. But I think there is something important to be said about the community of the proximate, and I think that is not simply just because it's close, but also because kind of like your family, you don't get to really choose them so much. And so you learn to be a little bit more willing to compromise, and also be that did not do anything for my throat. Time out. Should not have done that. Gracious. But you learn to compromise, but also you learn to learn how to like deal with people that create a lot of friction in your life for whatever reason. But that, but the problem that seems to be progressively worsen is that with a more mercenary mindset of things, you're not so inclined to want to care about that, right? Because you're looking out for you and yours, and that's that becomes a bit of a problem when you don't really have any sort of connection to the people around you in an approximate sense. They just kind of turn into all these other people. Like it's weird, really weird that yeah, it feels like neighbors are kind of just people around you, not necessarily people you get to know, and that's not always the case. I think with apartments and stuff, it can be a little bit more difficult because people are like, well, if they're only here for a year, they might leave, and what's the point of even trying to have some sort of social thing? And that's not, I know not everybody, but I think that sometimes subconsciously might be running as a routine in the back. That, or you get very quickly some people who are just like, they've done something annoying, I'm not even gonna bother being around them and stuff. And it's like, you never know, they might have had that one, or they might have an annoying trait, but maybe they have some interesting stuff about them that you'd be like, oh, okay, take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good. But if you're pushing to just kind of take care of your own, you're willing to, your quote-unquote allegiances are a little bit more like, sorry. The phlegm when you put your value as like, say, for a job, and I get it, like, you've kind of got to balance how much you make to pay your bills and stuff like that. However, when it becomes the overriding factor, and you just go, okay, well, I'm going to be doing it for this, but I can go do this other job and be doing it for a little bit more, or a bit more. Maybe it's even closer, or maybe it's in a different part of the state, and it just works out better for me. Or it's somewhere where I want to go. I don't want to be here anymore. It makes you a bit more nomadic, and also when when that value is the money, right? It turns into, okay, well, I can see that and then go to that, and then quickly realize that 3/4 of the time they all feel the same. Maybe even more. It might even be most of the time it does feel the same. You're just dealing with sillier, or not even sillier, but just the same sort of silliness, just in a different coat of paint. The machine is still operating on 70% silliness, but no, it is not necessarily that it like your no, I'll say it. It feels like a lot of times that your favor can be bought, if for if what it is that you want is just simply like a better paycheck, or if you want your ego stroked, and you want people to just agree with you on everything, or not even everything, but on the big things. When so it feels like you kind of buy into a company, and I don't even necessarily mean like business company, but like a mercenary company is a business all unto itself, but you buy into a company like that, and then you fight tooth and nail on that sort of thing to defend your company. And but yeah, I don't know. I just I have a really hard time thinking of how better or how else to try to rein in the fragmentation, the decentralization of things due to the internet. Because what it's done is it's kind of taken a almost like a rippling game of whack-a-mole, and boom, smack the one that's up, but instead of it just kind of having the one pop up, what it does is it boom ripples out and a whole bunch more pop up. And they're all over the place. That's kind of what it feels like. And we I guess kind of steering back into the money thing, it feels like a like when you have that as your we conceptualize it as, and maybe we don't, maybe some do subconsciously, we at least I know I do this, of like, okay, it takes X amount. If I wanted to spend $100 on something, I'd be like, it required X amount of hours for me to have to buy that kind of thing. And so that kind of turns into that, but then we also try to use it as a way to represent things instead of actually doing the thing. So for example, and I get it to a degree, so there's different gradients of it. So for one donating for cancer causes, to try to figure out certain cancers and cures for cancers, or for Alzheimer's. Those make sense unless you are a doctor studying in those things. Little tough, little difficult to be like us. I will try to figure it out. Um, just a smidge. So you have that, and then we kind of just do that a lot of times. We just want to throw money at a thing and think, oh well, the money will take care of it, and I don't agree with that. It's important, I think, to be able to like finance things, but and I think you can reasonably point this out to people. Like if you have a problem, let's say you are a procrastinator, and you have a windfall. Caught it. And you have a windfall of, enough to where you can, let's say, reasonably just retire and not have to be concerned with bills and stuff. But you have to be a little bit more. You have to be not more, but you have to be prudent. You have to be not necessarily frugal, but responsible, we'll say. For some people, perhaps a lot of people, they'll be like, okay, good, I'm done, and then quit said job. And then, I mean, you see this with a lot of, not all, but a lot of lottery winners, is that they'll win a huge amount of money and then be either due to other people constantly hitting them up for stuff, or them just kind of being very lavish, they'll run through it within like 5 years or so. And I guess that's kind of where I'm going with that. Like if you don't have the behaviors to keep yourself from going out of control, it's kind of like you don't even have to go that far, right? So if money's important to you, you want to make more money for things, but your behavior is that you're always pushed to the like you have no money and you're living quote unquote paycheck to paycheck. Now, aside from just it being the rising cost of things, like say if you were to just kind of, let's say axe out like a couple things that would cause you to reduce your payments by like on things by, let's just say $80 a week. Let's just say that. But instead you just push to spend that 80 and not either invest it, save it, or even a mixture of the two or whatnot. Getting more money tends to just continue that habit with not really much changing, and to be like, oh, I have more money to spend, so I will spend it, kind of thing. And so it's you gotta kind of like concentrate on the behavior. Plus, I guess it was saying before, it's like a lot of times we just seem to just take the money and push that out there instead of doing the thing to try to help for something. It's a facsimile, right? It's we kind of turn it into a shield of some sort to kind of bubble us away from other external things bothering us or interfering, not even bothering, just say interfering with what we want to do, whether that's being lazy or whatnot. However, that thing is only paper thin, right? It's very easy to kind of break through that without terribly much in the way of force, right? Like it only works so much, and I think, yeah, and I think it is an unfortunate habit we have developed. Like, yeah, and yeah, I don't have, because it's not like just being a part of community would change that. That's something that's like baked into the system, and it's on an individual level that you need to try to rectify it, because I mean you see it throughout all different sorts of levels of society, of especially when you get to wealthier portions where it just turns into a lot of just money. You almost see it like there's wait, I don't remember where I'm assuming it's a French term. It is, yeah, it's a French expression. The noblesse oblige. I'm probably saying that wrong. Thank you, phone. Okay, so it is a French expression that means that nobility extends beyond mere entitlement, requiring people who hold such status to fulfill social responsibilities. The term retains the same meaning in English. For example, a primary obligation of a nobleman could include generosity towards those around him, as those who lived on the noble's land had obligations to the nobility, and nobility had obligations to their people, including protection at the least. And while this is it's like the phrase is from like the early 1800s and stuff. This also comes up. It is not only a 200-year-old idea. I mean, yeah, there's actually makes mentions of it elsewhere. The Homer's Iliad mentions it. It's also in the like a kind of a biblical sense, like in Luke 12:48. Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required, and from him to whom they entrusted much, they will demand the more. Yeah. So it does, like, that's what I mean, kind of like that. There's we with like this mercenary mindset and everything, we just kind of, and just the individuality of what we treasure and value so much, of this independence, this as opposed to interdependence or dependence, and just the individual, right? The individual is supreme, but that no man is an island unto himself. We forget that we have other obligations. I know I've mentioned this kind of before in some other things, but it's similarly, like, not to blame the ever-present scourge of the boomer, but I mean, I noticed this when I was younger, and you would say, like, thank you, sir, or thank you, ma'am, and those pesky boomers, even in their 30s and 40s, were like, don't call me that. That makes me feel old. Blah 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 blah. And it's a way to try to, like, cut yourself from being like, there is a responsibility, like a social responsibility, right? Like, you are a part of the big group, but also, like, even if it's only momentarily, part of a smaller group, and you need to recognize your position within that. And I don't think people do that very well. And maybe some do much better, but instead it tries to turn into this, oh well, everybody's an individual, and that's what it is, and we're all in it for ourselves, and maybe you might help me and I might help you, but only if it definitely helps me, kind of thing, and maybe if it helps you because if I like you enough. But that's what it feels like a lot of, and whether that's through either, like, financial gains or through fame, it becomes very cutthroat, and I don't think that's really changed. The cutthroat is less sharks in the business world and more inflatable sharks of of social media. It is no baby shark. It is it's one of those like goofy, like just kind of, you know, the sharks that are just kind of like looking a little derpy. They're goblin sharks. Those things are pretty hideous looking. I don't even know where they're even at. Oh, it's a deep sea shark. They are. Oh, they're so hideous. Anyway, yeah, they're like and like, because that whole noblesse oblige is also can be very quickly bastardized into, well, I'm here, let me help the lower kind of thing, and that's not necessarily how it should be considered. It's like, oh, I'm in this position, I need to make certain the others who are not are doing well, or at least protected, or what have you. And I think we try to foist those upon other people when, like, oh, well, it's not my responsibility, it's these other people's responsibility because they're in this position. And instead of considering, maybe you might be in that position yourself, and to consider that for other people. And I think to try to tie this back with a community sense in a more proximate way, if you're able to understand that, then you can operate a bit better. It's kind of similar to what I've mentioned about like having friends who are on a different track than yours, and maybe they're on maybe they're like gone a few steps beyond, and they're like, oh, they've bought a house, they've done a lot of traveling, they are really responsible, very integral to where they work and stuff, and perhaps you're not. So, but you can, with those friends, you can see what the qualities they have, and what they should be doing is also trying to do the same for you, to not necessarily mold you into what they are, but to help you be the best of yourself. And you can take that lesson and then pass it to the next person, kind of thing. And that chain is being broken in a lot of different ways, from just, oh, well, throw money at the problem. And I think that part of that's because of just how heavy we value being an individual, and just like, oh yes, this is how this is. It's my goblin. Gracious. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I got for today. Thank you for listening, watching, all that sort of fun jazz. Enjoy your day, weekday, weeknight, weekend, everything in between. And I don't know. Oh, you know what? I will I will not have a musical outro. I have a little 10-second video or something of just a spot when I was playing Dark Souls a day or two ago, and it might have been 2 days ago, but where one of the monsters got caught and it was stuck on a thing. I kind of giggled. So that is what you'll get at the end of this one today. So thanks for watching. Enjoy all that sort of stuff, like I said before. And toodles.